All right, let's get right into it. We're going to be looking at one of the great puzzles of our time, the American West. I mean, this is a place that is defined by its harshness, but at the same time, it's just bursting with life and incredible economic power. So how is that even possible? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into. See, on the one hand, you have this vast, sun-scorched landscape that looks totally hostile to life. But on the other hand, it's home to these glittering cities and huge industries. So which is it? A barren wasteland or an economic powerhouse? The truth, as you're about to see, is that it's both. And that constant push and pull is really the story of this whole region. And the scale we're talking about here is just enormous, 200,000 square kilometers. To give you some perspective, that's almost the size of the entire United Kingdom. This isn't just some patch of sand we're talking about. It's a massive, almost continent-sized environment that humanity has been trying to make its own. So how on earth did people turn what looks like a massive challenge into such an incredible opportunity? Well, it really comes down to one thing: human ingenuity. So let's take a look at how the desert's hidden wealth got unlocked, creating this unbelievable economic engine right in the middle of nowhere. First up, tourism. The numbers are just staggering. Just think about Las Vegas for a second, a city that basically willed itself into existence in the Mojave Desert. And now it draws tens of millions of people every single year. That supports a massive economy and thousands of jobs. And here's a number that might actually surprise you even more: 15%. That's the slice of the entire U.S. agricultural output that depends on water from the Colorado River, which, flows right through this desert. We're talking lettuce, citrus, all sorts of vegetables, grown in the sand, all thanks to some serious irrigation. And as you can see here, this economy isn't a one-trick pony. It's this diverse mix of that huge tourism industry, the surprisingly strong agriculture we just mentioned, and of course, all the wealth that's pulled from the ground itself, mining and energy. You put those three pillars together and you get one seriously powerful economic engine. This isn't just some abstract story about economics. This development has real, concrete effects for the communities who've lived here for thousands of years. This quote really brings it home. It shows how resource extraction, in this case on Navajo Nation land, can directly fund local services and provide income that is absolutely crucial. But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? All of this progress, all this wealth, it's all come at a price. Trying to build a society in an environment this extreme creates a set of challenges that are just immense. This is the other side of that coin. First, let's just talk about the heat. We're talking temperatures that can soar past 50 degrees Celsius. That's over 122 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not just uncomfortable, it's genuinely dangerous. It puts incredible stress on people, on infrastructure, and of course, on that all-important water supply, since so much of it just evaporates. And then there's the isolation. I mean, it really wasn't that long ago that just trying to cross this landscape was a life-threatening trip on these remote, unpaved roads. The arrival of highways like the famous Route 66 was a complete game changer. And today, you have international airports connecting these desert cities to the globe. But those vast, empty distances, they're still a defining feature of life here. So you take all of these challenges, the blistering heat, the huge distances, the rapidly growing cities, and it all boils down to one thing, one ultimate challenge: water. In a land that is literally defined by its lack of water, we've built a booming economy and society that has a constantly growing thirst. This right here, this is the central conflict that's going to define the future of the American West. And at the very heart of that conflict is one single mighty river, the Colorado. It is the absolute lifeline of the entire Southwest, and right now, it is under an amount of pressure that is just unprecedented. People often call it America's Nile, and honestly, it's for good reason. Just like the Nile allowed ancient Egypt to blossom in the desert, the Colorado is what makes cities like Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles even possible. For millions of people, it is the single most important source of fresh water, period. So, how did we manage to harness this wild river? Well, mostly through absolutely massive engineering projects, like the Hoover Dam. As you can see here, a dam totally changes how a river works. It basically stops the natural flow, creating a gigantic man-made lake, a reservoir, like Lake Mead, and it lets engineers turn the tap on and off, releasing water in a controlled way. But this engineering marvel has consequences. Taming the river has a real ecological cost. That sediment, that silt and sand that used to flow freely down the river, now it gets trapped behind the dam, and this basically starves the ecosystem downstream. Natural sandbanks and beaches just disappear. Habitats are changed forever, and it pushes species like the Kanab amber snail and the southwestern willow flycatcher right to the brink of extinction. So, facing this new reality, people are starting to adapt. They have to. The old ways of doing things like planting super thirsty crops or watering these huge green lawns that don't belong in a desert, well, that's slowly giving way to smarter solutions. We're seeing a big shift towards drought-resistant plants and landscaping that actually embraces the desert environment instead of constantly fighting it. And all of this leads us to our final and most critical section. It's really become a race against time. It's a race between our own human ingenuity, our ability to innovate and change, and the fundamental natural limits of a desert. And the pressure is just mounting from all sides. You've got booming cities demanding more and more water. You've got climate change, which means less snow in the mountains to feed the river in the first place. The rising temperatures mean more evaporation. And on top of all that, there are critical international treaties that require water to keep flowing to Mexico. It's really the definition of a perfect storm. So, what can we actually do about it? Well, this table kind of lays out the main options, and it's pretty clear there are no easy fixes. We can fix leaky pipes and aging infrastructure, but that has a huge upfront cost. We could build desalination plants to make fresh water from the ocean, but that is incredibly expensive and uses a ton of energy. Really, the most efficient tool we have is simple conservation. But that requires huge changes in both public policy and our own behavior. Which brings us to the one final crucial question. For more than 100 years, human ingenuity has managed to create this incredible oasis of prosperity in one of the harshest climates on Earth. But now, as our world gets hotter and thirstier, we have to ask ourselves, is this great American desert experiment truly sustainable? The answer to that question is going to define the future of the American West.